Now, it's true that the official poverty rate doesn't measure consumption. Certainly, poor people today have many more things than poor people did in 1970. Across all income levels, including the poor, Americans are likely to have cell phones, air conditioners, flat-screen TVs, computers, and a car. And life expectancy has lengthened considerably thanks to overall improvements in healthcare. But it demeans poor people to say that this material progress makes poverty less of a problem. Our goal should never be to merely make poverty less miserable for people. Our goal must be to make poverty more escapable. Many progressives offer a straightforward solution: more funding for poverty programs. They believe that we need to transfer more wealth through government taxation from people who have money to people who don't. This is the income inequality argument. Conservatives have a different answer: more opportunity. Conservatives define success by how few people need help from the government, not by how many people we can enroll in government programs. When they see 60% more people on food stamps after the recession than we had before it started, conservatives say, that's not success, that's failure. You see, conservatives believe that simply giving people money doesn't help them escape poverty. On the contrary, it can keep them locked into it. Getting things without working for them is a very hard habit to break. So much so that it can become a way of life. According to my research, earning your way out of poverty is much more empowering and enduring than being supported by a variety of government programs which do a little more than maintain people in their poverty. This doesn't mean the government doesn't have a role to play. Indeed, wherever possible, the government and private charities should require people to work in exchange for social assistance. When we do this, we help people in two ways. First, through welfare, we're helping them meet their immediate material needs. And second, through work, we're helping them earn their own success, the key to a fulfilling and dignified life.
We spend over $1 trillion each year on poverty in this country and have one of the most robust nonprofit sectors in the world. And yet our poverty rate is far higher than most of the developed world and is more than double that of our biggest global competitor, China. I believe there are three main ways we're getting things wrong. First, we've relegated poverty work to the realm of the heart, to the Mother Teresas, to the do-gooders, to the charities and the churches. And heart is absolutely essential, but my beef with leaving poverty there is that it's dismissive of the seriousness and the complexity of the problem we are trying to address. No matter how many cans of soup or warm beds we provide, we will not solve poverty without our brains as well. Too often we focus on the immediate human needs without addressing the issues that create them. We need to stop placing the burden of escaping poverty on the individuals experiencing it and start breaking down the crushing systems that keep people there. Like when we try to help people escape poverty by achieving self-sufficiency, when in fact what we have is a structural problem. There are far too many jobs in our economy that just don't pay a living wage. The emerging thinking is that the ecosystem in which kids grow up matters. New study from Harvard, in fact, shows a causal relationship between the county you live in as a kid and your future earnings as an adult. They've even been able to monetize a positive or a negative effect for each year you live in a given county as a child. But we need to solve poverty nationally. And we can. We can do this the way we've achieved other historic accomplishments. When we set out to cure polio or put a man on the moon, we started by setting an audacious goal and committing to a long process of trial and error, dedicating resources and research to the problem and utilizing our experts. We can do this again for this problem. We must pledge that we will not allow this cycle to continue, not in the biggest economy the world has ever known. We all have a role to play, not just nonprofits and churches, but businesses and government too. Poverty is a complicated problem with a complicated history impacted by complicated systems. And so it's easy to get overwhelmed and just go back to doing what we've always done, or worse yet, do nothing at all. Let's acknowledge these tough truths and move forward. let's look at the systemic underpinnings of inequity that perpetuate cycles of poverty. Let's commit our hearts and our heads to solving this as a nation and not just in 20 square block areas. And let's invite the experts to the table, in this case, members of the communities that are impacted. We set out as one small nonprofit to end poverty in our community. Let's commit our vast resources to creating a tipping point as a nation so that we can stop treating the symptoms of poverty and end it once and for all.
After I heard what these people said, I started thinking of a solution on how to solve poverty. And after doing a lot of research and brainstorming, I figured out a way we could solve poverty. If you've seen my video called Why Survival Should Be Free, you'll know that I believe that everyone should be able to receive basic material needs for free, such as healthy food, clean water, shelter, clothing, sanitation, education, healthcare, and internet. I came to the conclusion that if this idea was implemented nationwide, it would eradicate poverty. Now, what I just said isn't a solution, but my desired outcome of my solution that I will reveal in part 2 and part 3. I understand that most likely progressives are in favor of my desired outcome, which would lead me to the assumption that conservatives dislike my desired outcome. With that being said, I am a centrist in terms of my political views. Centrism is the center in a political outlook or a specific position that involves acceptance or support of a balance of a degree of social equality or a degree of social hierarchy, while opposing political changes which would result in a significant shift of society strongly to either the left or the right. I am proposing to create a world where both the conservative and progressive ideas are at full strength simultaneously to ensure that people are not only taken care of in terms of material needs, but in terms of enlightenment and reaching a fulfilling and dignified life. Part 2 is coming soon, where I'm going to explain the first half of my idea to solve poverty. And as always, stay curious.